Keluarga Malaysia, good afternoon. You're watching Updates at Noon with me, Renee Fong. And our headlines for today: former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak won the battle for UK's top job. "14 killed after a boat caught on fire in eastern Indonesia." UK's former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak won the battle for leader of Britain's Conservative Party and will become the country's first Prime Minister of colour. Penny Mordaunt, the last rival left after Boris Johnson dramatically pulled out, failed to secure the necessary 100 nominations from her fellow MPs. Sunak's triumph came after Johnson's decision late Sunday to abandon his political comeback bid. Just weeks after he lost out to Liz Truss to lead the ruling Tories, Sunak therefore pulled off a stunning reversal in fortunes. The contest, triggered by outgoing leader Truss's resignation on Thursday, had required candidates to secure the support of at least 100 Conservative MPs by 2 p.m. local time yesterday, with only Sunak made the threshold. Sunak crossed that threshold by Friday night and amassed nearly 200 public nominations, more than half the parliamentary Tory party. Johnson's withdrawal from the race before he had even formally announced his candidacy left cabinet member Mordaunt the only other declared contender. However, she failed to garner the necessary support, putting an abrupt end to the contest. The Tories were forced into their second leadership contest since the summer due to Truss's resignation after only 44 days following a disastrous market response to her tax-slashing mini-budget. She had replaced Johnson in early September following a government revolt led by Sunak over a slew of scandals. Johnson's attempt to make an immediate return to Downing Street had raised the prospect of months of disarray and disunity within the ruling Conservatives. Critical backbench Tory MPs warned there could have been a wave of resignations under Johnson's renewed leadership, which might have led to the general election demanded by opposition parties, which is not due for at least another 2 years. We will give you more updates on global news in the foreign segment. Now back to the local front. Malaysian film producers, directors and actors are capable of producing films on par with international standards. Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa said before the COVID-19 pandemic, the local creative industry was not a small industry, as Malaysia was listed as the 19th biggest market for films produced locally, according to US international markets.
Kalau satu filem sahaja telah dapat menjana pendapatan hampir 100 juta, sedangkan kita tahu berapa lagi puluh filem sedang menanti yang akan kita keluarkan, dan kita keluarkan dengan mutu dan nilai yang terbaik yang akan melonjak ekonomi dan juga industri perfilman kita.
In his speech at the closing of the Ekspresi at Finas program in Kuala Lumpur, Tan Sri Anwar said if the budget 2023 is tabled once again under the current leadership, he was convinced there would be good news announced by the Prime Minister for the creative industry. According to him, this was because the ministry continued to receive feedback from industry players and also from what it had gone through itself. MIC is prepared to change the seats it will be contesting in the 15th general election, GE15, if other Barisan Nasional component parties have bigger chances of winning the seats. Its Deputy President, Datuk Sri M. Saravanan, said the move is for the good of the alliance and proves the positive attitude practiced by BN component parties. In this regard, Datuk Sri Saravanan said MIC President Tan Sri S.A. Vigneswaran would be announcing the seats to be contested in G15 as well as the candidates soon.
Setakat ini kita telah mengenal pasti beberapa kerusi. Pada masa yang sama, MIC lebih relevan di mana apabila kita sedar ada kerusi-kerusi mungkin parti komponen lain yang boleh menang, peluang untuk kemenangan lebih cerah dengan parti-parti komponen lain, kita sedia exchange atau bertukar itu dengan kerusi-kerusi lain. Konsep Barisan Nasional kita berbincang dan membuat keputusan secara berhemah.
Earlier, it was reported that MIC was proposing to be fielded in 12 parliamentary seats in G15 on 19th November. In GE14, MIC contested in 9 parliamentary seats, namely Sungai Siput and Tapah in Perak, Sungai Buloh, Hulu Selangor, Kapar and Kota Raja in Selangor, Port Dickson in Negeri Sembilan, Segamat in Johor and Cameron Highlands in Pahang. The constitutional amendment prohibiting the political defection of elected representatives will restore Malaysia's trust in the electoral system and outcome of elections. Political analyst Dr. Suhaimi Shah said the enforcement of anti-hopping law could also help stabilise the political scene and help increase voter turnout for the upcoming 15th general election.
Dan konteks kajian lah bila akta itu diperkenalkan, mungkin sedikit 5% hingga 10% memberikan keyakinan pada pengundi untuk mengundi kali ini. Sebab apa? Mereka nak menetapkan pengundian kali ini adalah berdasarkan parti tersebut, kan, dan mereka percaya bahawa parti tersebut tidak akan melakukan tindakan luar biasa seperti itu. So kita lihat mungkin ada 5%, 10% keyakinan. Dan saya rasa akta itu juga telah disambut baik oleh rakyat. Dan ini yang mereka inginkan.
Dr. Suhaimi also hoped that the campaigning and voting process during G15 will run smoothly without any untoward incident, thus highlighting the country's exemplary democratic principles. Bahraini Qari Muhammad Samir Muhammad Mahgahed and Malaysian Qaryah Sofiza Mohsin were crowned champions of their respective categories at the 62nd International Al-Quran Recitation and Memorization Assembly last night. In the event held at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre, Muhammad Samir scored 93.33%, while Sofiza scored 89.66%, with each taking home a cash prize and a trophy. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah presented the prizes to the winning carriers, while the Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandariah presented them to winners in the female category. Malaysian representative Aiman Ridwan Muhammad Ramlan emerged runner-up in the male category, while third place went to Indonesia's Muhammad Rizkun. Widadul Wahidah Mohamud from Singapore emerged as the runner-up in the female category, and third place was won by Indonesia's Yuni Wulandari Hasim. All second and third place participants also received a cash prize and trophy. Also present at the event were Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob. The assembly was held over 6 days from 19th October until yesterday, involving a total of 36 participants from 28 countries. The prestigious competition was held after a 2-year break due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Only the recitation category was contested this time, with the memorization category expected to return next year. When met after the event, Sofiza Mohsin expressed her gratitude for being able to win the competition, saying that she would use the prize money to open an Al-Quran Learning Centre.
Hadiah kemenangan tu insya-Allah kita akan simpan dan tengoklah macam mana selepas ini mungkin boleh digunakan untuk saham akhirat, mana tahu boleh buka Quran Center ke, insya-Allah.
Meanwhile, Muhammad Samir said he would use the prize money to help him spread the knowledge and beauty of Al-Quran worldwide.
يعني أخطط مستقبلا أن أسجل القرآن الكريم وأنشره بإذن الله تعالى في العالم الإسلامي إن شاء الله.
On the foreign front, Bolsonaro ally charged with 4 attempted murders. Stay tuned.
Seronoknya kau nak berkelah dekat sini. Tak sabarnya nak mandi. Kotor je tempat ni. Apa yang aku tahu, kau tempat foto macam ni, baliklah macam ni. Nanti dia cakap leptospirosis pula.
Anda bijak kerana tidak berkelah di kawasan yang berpotensi untuk dijangkiti leptospirosis.
Mirane Fong, at least 14 people died after a boat caught fire. A boat carrying hundreds caught fire in eastern Indonesia yesterday. The KM Express Cantika 77 erupted in flames off the coast of Timor Island in East Nusa Tenggara province, prompting desperate passengers to jump overboard. Earlier, a local rescue official said of 240 people evacuated from the vessel, 40 died and 226 survived. The total number of passengers in the vessel is yet to be determined as the numbers continue to change, with the latest being 312 people. Videos released by the local search and rescue agency showed rescuers pulling people, including infants and children, out of the choppy sea. Authorities dispatched 3 rescue boats and local fishermen sailed out in their own boats to help the search effort. Rescuers struggled to approach the ship because of the blaze and strong currents. Some survivors will be treated in hospital for shock, and the dead will be transferred to a police hospital in Kupang for identification purpose. Many of those rescued had used life vests after the fire broke out, and some swam directly to shore. A prominent Pakistani investigative journalist critical of the country's powerful military has been killed in Kenya nearly 2 months after he left Pakistan. The 49-year-old journalist fled the country in August to avoid arrest after he was slapped with multiple cases, including sedition charges, over an interview with Shahbaz Gill, a close aide of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, during which Gill made comments deemed offensive to the military. Alleging harassment by state institutions as well as threats to his life, he moved to Dubai in August and later relocated to Kenya. The channel ARY, for which Sharif worked for the last 8 years, was briefly taken off air in August for airing allegedly false, hateful and seditious content. The channel announced late August it was parting ways with the journalist, who was one of its top primetime news anchors. Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that Pakistan's envoy to Kenya, along with embassy officials, had identified the body at the Kairomo Funeral House in Nairobi and are now awaiting further procedures and a police report. Kenyan media has quoted local police officials who said the shooting was a case of mistaken identity. A former federal deputy and ally of Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro was charged yesterday by the federal police with 4 attempted murders during a violent showdown with officers on Sunday. On Sunday, federal police officers went to the home of former lawmaker Roberto Jefferson to arrest him on the order of the Supreme Court after he attacked a judge in comments online. Jefferson was already under house arrest for his alleged role in organising anti-democratic acts threatening courts. When they arrived, Jefferson opened fire in their car and threw stun grenades. 2 officers were injured and more than 8 hours passed until his negotiated surrender. Jefferson's conduct poses a major headache for the right-wing Bolsonaro as he seeks to clinch re-election against leftist former president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in 30th October runoff. Presidential candidate Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said the issue should now be solved by the police and blamed Bolsonaro for increasing political violence. Meanwhile, Bolsonaro, in a video posted on Twitter, condemned the shooting against police officers by Jefferson. The far-right leader says that the treatment of someone who shoots the police officers is that of a criminal. The Japanese minister resigned Monday following scrutiny over his links to a religious sect that is under pressure over ties with top politicians after the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Daishiro Yamagiwa, Minister for Economic Revitalization, said his conduct had caused trouble for the government but did not name the Unification Church. The movement and its links to senior politicians have been in the spotlight because the man accused of killing Abe in July reportedly resented the organisation over massive donations his mother made that bankrupted the family. The church, officially known as the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, has denied wrongdoing. But a parade of former members have gone public with criticism of its practices in Japan, and last week, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida ordered a government investigation into the group. Its members are sometimes referred to as Moonies after Korean founder Sun Myung-moon, who died in 2012. Yamagiwa has been under fire in Parliament following a local media reports about his alleged ties to the church, partly because he appeared in a group photo in 2019 with Hak Jahan, Moon's wife. He also previously disclosed that he joined an event organised by the church in 2018. Kishida said he accepted the minister's resignation and would announce a replacement today, while Yamagiwa said he planned to stay on as a lawmaker. The Premier has ordered a wider investigation that could lead to a dissolution order, which would see the church lose its status as a tax-exempt religious organisation, though it could still continue to operate. The U.S. Justice Department chief accused China of interfering with the American justice system as he announced indictments of 13 Chinese nationals who allegedly worked for Beijing spy agencies. Attorney General Merrick Garland detailed 3 separate cases in which Chinese intelligence operatives attempted to interfere with U.S. legal system. Garland noted that 3 separate occasions whereby Beijing's intel tried to harass dissidents inside the United States, interfere in the prosecution of a Chinese telecoms giant understood to be Huawei, and pressured U.S. academics to work for them. The cases showed that China sought to interfere with the rights and freedoms of individuals in the United States and to undermine its judicial system. U.S. officials have blamed China President Xi Jinping for what they see is a growing effort by China over the past decade to steal the country's intellectual property and to crack down on Chinese political dissidents in the United States. One of the cases focused on the harassment and pressure on dissidents, where 7 Chinese nationals allegedly tried to force a U.S. resident to go back to China. 2 of them were arrested, but 5 others remain at large, likely in China. In the second case, 2 Chinese intelligence officials working from China tried to recruit a U.S. government employee to provide them inside information on the Justice Department's prosecution of Huawei. The third case involved Chinese intelligence operatives posing as academics to recruit operatives in the United States.
Working on behalf of the FBI.
Sports, Aston Villa appoint Unai Emery as new manager. Details coming to you right after this.
Okey Malaysia.
Anda bersedia? Ayo semua. Depan, belakang, jengkel, lompat, kiri, kanan, angkat, tolak, bawah dan atas. Teruskan, teruskan. Cuk. Tarik nafas. Lepas, sempena bulan Malaysia sihat sejahtera. Mulakan gerak sihat anda sekarang. Lebih aktif,
lebih hebat.
And hard.
Aston Villa have appointed Unai Emery as manager following the sacking of Steven Gerrard. Former Arsenal boss Emery, who had been in charge of Spanish club Villarreal, will take over at Villa on 1st November. Villa have paid a £5.2 million buyout fee to Villarreal for the 50-year-old. Caretaker Aaron Danks will again take charge at Newcastle this weekend after Gerrard was dismissed last week following a 3-0 Premier League defeat by Fulham. Villa said Emery, who would have been out of contract at Villarreal next summer, will begin work next week after his work permit formalities are completed. Emery joined Villarreal in 2020 and led them to Europa League success in the 2020-21 season, beating Manchester United in the final. The The Spanish club also reached last year's Champions League semi-finals under Emery, losing 5-2 to Liverpool on aggregate. Emery's Villarreal appointment followed his sacking after just 18 months as Arsenal manager in November 2019, after failing to win in 7 games, the Gunners' worst run at the time since February 1992. During his time in North London, he took Arsenal to the Europa League final, losing to Chelsea in 2019. Villa beat Brentford 4-0 on Sunday under caretaker Danks, just their 3rd win in 12 Premier League games this season, which left them 14th, 3 points above the relegation zone. Real Madrid struggle with injuries to Karim Benzema, Federico Valverde and Luka Modric, who are all sidelined ahead of their Champions League match against RB Leipzig, slated for tomorrow. Carlo Ancelotti will miss his top goal scorer Valverde as the Uruguayan recovers from a knock to his right thigh, which he suffered during their league match against Sevilla. Real Madrid confirmed Valverde sustained the injury and decided to rest the player for their trip to Germany. The Spanish club has already booked their ticket to the next round of the competition, and their goal against Leipzig is to secure the top spot in their group.
Sí, el objetivo de mañana es claro, hacer un buen partido, sacar un buen partido para olvidarse de esta fase. Entonces, llegar primero de grupo es el objetivo. Tenemos la oportunidad mañana de hacerlo. Estamos concentrados por esto.
Many Real Madrid players have missed games in the last few weeks, and Ancelotti was also questioned if players are playing it safe with the World Cup looming. Leipzig haven't lost a game in more than a month in all competitions, and Real Madrid defender Antonio Rudiger expects a tough game. In tennis, Taylor Fritz boosted his Nitto ATP Finals qualification chances when he earned a comeback victory against Japanese qualifier Yoshihito Nishioka at the Erste Bank Open in Vienna. The American was 2 points from defeat in the second set tiebreak and trailed Nishioka 1-3 in the third set before he won the final 5 games of the match to advance 6-7, 7-6 and 6-3. With his 2-hour 45-minute win, 8th place, Fritz has climbed to 2,910 points in the Pepperstone ATP Live race to Turin. Fritz is aiming to make his debut at the prestigious end-of-year event to be held at the Pala Alpitour in Turin from 13th to 20th November. Rafael Nadal, Carlos Alcaraz, Casper Ruud, Stefanos Tsitsipas and Novak Djokovic have already qualified. Fritz, who has won 3 tour-level titles this season, is the 4th seed at the ATP 500 event in Vienna and will next play Austrian wildcard Jurij Rodionov or Canadian Denis Shapovalov in the second round. Meanwhile, 3rd seed Andrei Rublev also advanced with a 6-4, 6-1 victory against Diego Schwartzman. 4 days after his 25th birthday, Rublev saves 3 break points as he served out the opening set before cruising through the second. The Russian comfortably beat his Argentine opponent to set up a showdown against the winner of Grigor Dimitrov and Thiago Montero. Elsewhere, Carlos Alcaraz fought off a strong challenge from next-gen ATP Briton Jack Draper to earn his first tournament win since his US Open title at the Swiss indoors Basel. Draper broke twice in the opening set, using a finishing flourish to break at love in its final game. After saving 2 break points to lead 5-3, he brought up set point with a whipped backhand pass from deep in the corner and converted with a roped forehand winner. But Alcaraz quickly steadied in set 2 as he tightened up his ground game and began to dictate play, racing to a 4-0 lead. He remained on top set 3, leading 4-2 until Draper edged in front by winning 3 straight games. From 4-5, Alcaraz returned to favour by winning 3 straight games off his own to close out the win. Draper fought until the last ball, bringing up 2 break points in what was the joint longest game of the match as Alcaraz served it out. Spaniard avoided a decisive tiebreak, saving the first break point with a fearless forehand winner that clipped the sideline before sealing victory on his 3rd match point. The Spaniard will face either Botic van der Zandschulp or Adrian Manarino in the second round, with countryman Pablo Carreno Busta, one of 5 Spaniards in the Basel draw, a potential quarterfinal opponent. The Motorsports Association of Malaysia MAM President Tan Sri Moghzani Mahathir described the MotoGP Malaysia 2022 event, which ended on Sunday, as a success. He also expressed gratitude to crowds' reception towards the event after almost 2 years of absence due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Saya sangat puas hati tahun ini penganjuran MotoGP, Petronas MotoGP tahun ini selepas 2 tahun kita tak dapat melihat MotoGP riders di sini sangat-sangat exciting lah. Kalau dibanding dengan 2019, saya difahamkan lebih ramai orang tahun ini daripada tahun 2019. Jadi amat puas hati.
He added that with the success of this event, more motorsport organisers will look to Malaysia as a venue for their events. On a related note, Tan Sri Moghzani also said that the MAM is hoping to bring back Formula One Championship in Sepang. However, he noted that a thorough study must be conducted beforehand, as the event requires a huge sum of amount. Malaysia organised the first Formula One race in Sepang in 1999 and held its last race in 2017 due to lack of reception and increasing costs. The MotoGP Malaysia 2022 Championship ended its run on Sunday with over 160,000 crowds flocked to the Sepang International Circuit. That is all for today's updates at noon. Making our headlines, Rishi Sunak won the battle for UK's top job, becoming the first Prime Minister of colour. Don't forget to catch us tonight at saluran Berita RTM for more news. Till then, Malaysia, I'm Renee Fong. Goodbye and have a pleasant afternoon.